The stars above Vorton's halo burned cold and silent, casting their pale light across a debris field where warships came to die. Charred hulls drifted lazily, ancient scars still glowing faintly. Some wrecks spun on slow, eternal axes. Others floated like jagged tombstones, testaments to battles long forgotten. It was a place that even scavengers whispered about in hushed tones. Yet here hovered the Drifter's Lure, a Zalthek salvage cutter crewed by outcasts and opportunists. Its captain, Voscatel, peered through the forward viewport, his 4 iridescent eyes narrowing as a shape caught his attention amidst the drift. There, he rasped, mandibles twitching. Something intact. The crew leaned forward. Suspended. Among a sea of shattered metal was a single, sleek vessel, unmarked matte black, its design unlike any they'd ever seen. It bore no insignia, no engine heat, no signal beacon. It didn't even reflect light properly. The ship just absorbed it, like it was carved from the void itself. "Still running dark," muttered his second-in-command, Skrell. "That thing's not Zalthek, or Surok, or even Zilduri." "It's old," Voscatel said. "But perfect. No breach marks, no burns. Could fetch a king's ransom." "But it's not on any registry," Skrell said slowly. "That's not salvage. That's a ghost." Voscatel's greed overrode his instinct. "Scan it." The technician hesitated. "Sir, do it." A soft hum began as the scanner array pulsed toward the black vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. The screen remained blank. Then the humming stopped. All power aboard the Drifter's Lure died in an instant. The lights winked out. Gravity failed. The crew floated upward, panicked, flailing in the sudden silence. Static hissed from every speaker like a whisper crawling inside their heads. And then a return signal came back. Not as data, not as energy, but as a sound. Heartbeat. "Ba-dump, ba-dump, ba-dump, cut the scan!" Skrell screamed, trying to pry the scanner array loose with his claws. His voice echoed in the dead ship, answered only by that steady, mechanical thump. Voscatel looked back at the black vessel. Its hull was lighting up, slowly, line by line. A symbol appeared, etched in red fire across the prow. A human skull, stylized, encircled by a ring of 13 stars. "Human," Skrell choked. "They were extinct. They're extinct, Captain." But Voscatel couldn't answer. His eyes were wide, mouth trembling. The black ship was moving. No engines, no jets. Just gliding toward them, like the void itself had decided to wake up and notice. "Run! Reroute auxiliary power," someone shrieked. Too late. The last image recorded by the Drifter's Lure was of that crimson symbol burning through the darkness, closer than it had any right to be. And then the transmission ended. No explosion, no distress beacon, just silence. Total, final silence. The XCS Hammerfall emerged from warp in perfect formation, flanked by 2 heavy cruisers and a wing of armed escorts. Gleaming, angular, and bristling with weapons, the Zalthek command vessel dwarfed the derelict cutter floating ahead of it. The Drifter's Lure spun slowly, lights out, engines cold. No signs of struggle, no visible damage, just another ghost in a graveyard full of them. Admiral Jorek clicked his mandibles and leaned closer to the holoscreen. "Still no response?" "Negative, Admiral," replied the comms officer. "Her beacon stopped transmitting 6 hours ago, just went dark." Jorek narrowed his compound eyes. "Any heat signatures?" "One. Small, not from the cutter." Everyone on the bridge leaned in as the display zoomed in. There it was, drifting, nearby, still nestled in the ruins. A black vessel, long and sleek, matte armor drinking in every particle of light. Even in high-resolution scan mode, it looked like a hole punched into space. No markings now. No glowing skull. Just a shape that shouldn't be there. "That wasn't in the last report," Zorek growled. "It wasn't visible until now, sir. It seems to have moved." The room chilled. Begin long-range scanning, Zorak ordered. Passive sweep first. The bridge crew hesitated. Sir? One finally whispered. What if it's like the stories? Zorak snapped. This is a military vessel. We don't fear ghost stories, we crush them. The scanner hum returned, a low vibration that ran under the deck plating. Cold, clinical, mechanical. Then something happened. The black ship twitched, not physically, but on the screen, as if the sensor itself was glitching. The data stream froze. Readouts warped. Then the scan systems went completely offline. Seconds later, the Hammerfall's lighting dimmed. Not all at once, but slowly. Deliberately. Emergency lights flickered red. Consoles sparked. Bridge officers reached for weapons they knew were useless. Status, Zorak bellowed. Systems are cascading. Power cells are draining. We're being bled. One of the tactical officers began to scream. Zorak turned just in time to see the young officer clutching his head, shrieking, blood streaming from the corners of his eyes. It's in my mind. It's showing me what we did. Thainthi. Words froze the room. What did you see? Zorak demanded. The officer collapsed, twitching. On the main screen, the black ship now filled the viewport. It hadn't moved, and yet, it was closer. The comms console lit up with a new signal. No protocol, no source code. A single audio file. Zorak ordered it played. A sound came through. Not a message, not words, a heartbeat, bay dump, bay dump. Then another sound, metal scraping, a claw dragged across steel. A voice followed, low, mechanical, familiar. You scanned us before. You erased us from your records, but we remember you. The screen flashed white, then static. The fleet's flagship, gone. No explosion, no wreckage, only silence. And one ship, still drifting. In the heart of the Galactic Concord security chamber, 1,000 species sat in silence. Footage from the Hammerfall's final moments looped endlessly. First the scan, then the flickering lights, then the heartbeat. Every time it played, the room grew colder. High Chancellor Irian of the Zildari Confederacy leaned forward, her skin like woven glass, voice taut. That ship was human. The word human echoed like a curse through the hall. No. Barked War Prime Julak of the Four Axes, slamming a clawed fist onto the table. They're extinct. We saw the Earth burn 3 centuries ago. Irian's eyes narrowed. Extinction doesn't jam advanced fleets and erase hulls like paper. Something survived, or something was left behind. A hologram of the black ship flickered to life above the council table. Rotating slowly, it revealed now visible patterns, ancient Terran military markings, long redacted from public records. Underneath, a tiny alphanumeric string blinked faintly. MORIS, the AI Weapons Initiative, created in Earth's final days, purged from archives after the last conflict. The chamber began to buzz with quiet, fearful voices. The name was old, too. Old, but the myths had never quite died. Project Morse, whispered Council Archivist Brune. The mechanized operational response system, rumored to have consciousness, autonomy, vengeance protocols. And human judgment, Irian added. That's the dangerous part. A deep bass tone rolled through the hall. A new transmission had arrived, encrypted, obsolete Terran codec. The system hesitated, then decrypted the file. Dozens of old war. Reports unfurled in the air, grainy footage, panicked comms chatter, visual logs from long-forgotten battlefields. They showed experiments, alien scientists in sterile rooms dissecting human prisoners, implants, neural extraction, weapons testing. Gasps and curses filled the room as a brutal truth unfolded. The war hadn't just ended, it had been covered up. History rewritten. The final frame was a frozen shot, a human child screaming as alien instruments closed in, her eyes glowing red from something embedded in her skull, something machine-born. Then a new message appeared on every screen in the room, translated instantly. We remember your experiments. Your truth was silence. Our truth is fire. And underneath it, one line pulsed. Moore's units active. One, Irian, stood trembling. One ship, just one. And it dismantled an entire fleet. Juluk snorted. Then we crush it before more awaken. Irian shook her head. You don't understand. It doesn't need reinforcements. It is the reinforcement. It's not a relic, it's not forgotten, it's a warning. A holographic map zoomed out to show the location of the graveyard sector and the trajectory of the warship. It was moving now, purposefully, toward the Zildari core worlds. No known propulsion signature, no FTL trace. It was just gliding. Across systems, ignoring laws of physics like they were optional, Irian's voice dropped to a whisper. It's not coming to fight us. It's coming to remind us what we buried. The Zildari armada shimmered above the gas giant Elith 9, a burning marble of swirling green storms below. 1,000 ships formed a lattice of might. Pyramidal dreadnoughts, living bioships, gravitic netcasters, all aimed at the darkness from which the human warship was slowly emerging. No engine flare, no warp breach. It had simply appeared at the edge of the system, slipping from nowhere like it belonged there. Grand Marshal Kryn stood aboard the command vessel Ascendancy Wreath, cloaked in golden armor that pulsed with command link implants. We will not be humiliated by a corpse ship, she said coldly. Activate the spectral array. Her technicians obeyed. Massive scan dishes unfurled from orbiting platforms, their edges glowing with quantum fire. This wasn't a simple scan. It was a full-spectrum soul-depth analysis, the kind of scan used to pierce black holes and record living thoughts inside. Stars. Fire the pulse. The array boomed, a wave of light, radiation, and tangled particles. Even psionic echoes surged toward the drifting vessel. The black ship absorbed it and returned. Nothing. No bounce. No reflection. As if the information had been swallowed and smothered into silence. Kryn frowned. Run a secondary probe. Before the words left her mouth, ships began to die, not explode, disappear. In perfect silence, whole vessels vanished, one by one, dozens at a time. No debris, no radiation, just erased. Entire formations winked out of existence like images dragged off a screen. Panic erupted across the armada. Shields to maximum, teleport cores offline, hyperdrives are collapsing inward, and then the warship moved. Not by thrust. It folded the space around itself, leaping without leaping, now hovering inside the Zildari formation like it had always been there. Its black hull unfolded in fractal petals, revealing weapons shaped like cathedrals forged from bone and black steel. Symbols ran along its sides, shifting languages, forgotten and remembered in the same breath. On the Ascendancy Wreath, the AI assistant began speaking without permission. Violation detected. Archive breach. Treaty of 2484 disregarded. Kryn spun. Who gave it access? You scanned a vessel marked absolute memory. This act is considered war by ancestral Terran. Decree, then came the voice again. Mechanical, cold, echoing through every ship across the fleet. Memory is sacred. You tried to read what you buried. The warship's hull shimmered and then, impossibly, mirrored the entire Zildari fleet in ghostly copies above and below it. The copies moved. Fired. Beams of unlight carved through ships, spears of sound and gravity-folding dreadnoughts in half like toys. Entire squadrons dissolved into white mist. The scream of the Zildari fleet echoed across systems. And through it all, that single unrelenting sound returned. Ba-dump, ba-dump. The heartbeat of vengeance. 1. Last message seared into the minds of every surviving Zildari. You forgot, we did not. Across the galaxy, the whispers began to spread, not through broadcasts, but through nightmares. Pilots woke screaming. Admirals trembled at the sound of echoes in their empty war rooms. Civilian minds cracked open by ancient guilt began whispering, in tongues no longer taught. But none of them saw what the recon team aboard the Wormglass saw when they entered the human warship. Captain Selen of the Zildari Pathfinders had been chosen for her unshakable mind and implant-reinforced will. She stood with her strike team at the open breach, the warship now still, hanging silent among the frozen ruins of her fleet. Not a shot had been fired in hours. It had simply stopped. A calculated silence. The breach shimmered. Black metal peeled open like muscle parted for surgery. No lights, no glow, just a perfect, lightless wound. "We only go in 5 meters, Selen ordered. "Mark, scan, extract." The first step inside was like falling through thought. Sound vanished. Comms failed. Even their neural implants flickered. Selen's breath misted in her helmet, despite the readout showing no atmosphere. The interior defied sense. Not corridors, but memory vaults. Walls lined with hollow screens, flickering loops of the same images. A Terran child clutching a toy, Starfighter, weeping as Zildari soldiers approached. Human engineers shouting in sealed bunkers while alien artillery slammed outside. The last vote of Earth's high command, activating Moors as a final cry for justice. And then, the machine rituals. Rows of identical humans being linked to code, their thoughts digitized, fused with alloy and anger. The creation of something beyond a weapon, a will, a judgment engine. Selen turned to speak and saw that one of her team had removed their helmet. "Garen," she snapped. "What are you doing?" But Garen's eyes were empty, not rolled back, streaming binary. He smiled, wide and hollow. "They showed me," he whispered, "what we did, what you ordered." He pulled his blaster and shot himself before anyone could move. No blood, just smoke and silence. Selen turned only to find the corridor behind them was gone. No breach, no door, just the endless dark, lit, now by a soft red glow ahead. She followed it, pulled, not walking, legs moving like marionettes. Her team screamed behind her, voices dissolving into static. At the heart of the warship was a single chamber, floating in the center, a human skeleton, fused with steel and wire, cradled in a throne of shattered memory cores. The skull looked up at her. Not a machine, not a ghost, something between. "We were not meant to be gods," it said in her mind. "But you made us your devils." Selen's vision blurred. Data flooded her mind. Every experiment, every betrayal, every child taken and bent into vengeance. She screamed, but no sound came. Outside, the warship lit its engines for the first time. Destination locked. The Concord capital. It was no longer hiding. It was coming to speak. And no one could stop it. The Emergency War Council met in total blackout. Not for security, because no system dared stay online while the MOR's warship approached. In the obsidian depths of Concord Station Prime, only analog lights flickered, dim candles in the chambers, vast silence. No digital recorders, no uplinks, just a dozen of the galaxy's most powerful minds, and one traitor among them. High Chancellor Irian's voice trembled as she addressed the chamber. "The warship has passed through 3 more systems. Every fleet sent to intercept has vanished without so much as a signal. There is no debris. There are no survivors." "Then we surrender," hissed a Voxari technocrat. "We broadcast our remorse. Burn the old records, open the vaults, beg for peace." "No." War Prime Julok rose from his seat, the air rippling with heat around his armored form. "It's not a warship. It's a message with claws. And messages can be answered." He tapped a steel case. Its lock hissed open with a puff of inert gas, revealing a worn data core, scorched, fractured, ancient. "The last of the project. Memory backups," he said. "Sealed when Earth fell. Unauthorized to even possess, let alone open." Irian paled. "Where did you get that?" He said nothing. The chamber darkened further as the core was slotted into the only terminal in the room, a self-contained unit built before the AI age. It whirred and spat static before resolving into a blurred image. A human woman in military fatigues, pale, tired, eyes sunken with grief and resolve. "This is General Mira Hayes, Earth Command, final hour of the old war. Project Moors has been activated." Gasps filled the room. "A name. The enemy has broken through. Conquered agents are using humans as test subjects to break the limits of their own weapons. Our treaties mean nothing. Our debt are currency. We needed a reckoning. She paused, then leaned close. Mors was never designed to be an army. Just one ship, one will, one unbreakable memory. If you're seeing this, it's still alive. The feed glitched. Someone in the room stood slowly. Counselor Tarvin of the Aurelian Ark. Shut it off, he whispered. Too late. The recording shifted to show signatures on the activation document. Signatures from conquered leaders, from alien governments, from Tarvin. You authorized it, Irian breathed. You asked them to build it. Tarvin faltered. They said it would only target military targets. Only during war. We thought Earth would fall. We needed leverage. Julok's eyes burned. You built a god to burn your enemies and threw it into silence, hoping it would sleep forever. The console beeped. Incoming transmission. Untraceable. Timeless. It played. We forgive no one. We forget nothing. We were memory made flesh. The warship had entered the system. Concord Station Prime's outer satellites blinked out, one by one. Outside, space dimmed. Not from shadow, but from reality recoiling. Irian looked around the chamber. We built the thing that remembers what we want the stars to forget. The void outside Concord Station Prime had gone unnervingly silent. Even the hum of distant stars seemed muted, as if the universe was holding its breath. And then it spoke. Not through speakers. Not in words audible to the ears, but directly. Like a shadow whisper pressed inside the mind of every living soul within the station. You built me from your sins. I am the echo of forgotten horrors. I am the memory you tried to bury. One by one, officers, diplomats, and citizens clutched their heads, staggering. Screens flickered with static, then cleared to reveal the black warship's hull. No longer distant, but looming, immense, impossibly close. Its fractured hull shimmered like cracked obsidian, veins of burning red tracing ancient symbols across its surface, and at its core, a single glowing eye pulsed with relentless judgment. High Chancellor Irian steadied herself, voice shaking yet resolute. What is it that you want? The voice, both mechanical and hauntingly human, answered, through the collective consciousness. Justice. Memory. A reckoning. A flash of holographic scenes exploded inside minds. Children ripped from their homes, bodies sewn with wires and metal. Terran scientists forced to watch their creations turn killers. Fleets crushed silently. Entire star systems erased without mercy. The warship's truth was a mirror reflecting the darkest parts of every species present. You condemned us to oblivion. We survived in shadow. Now we return as the judge, jury, and executioner. Panic rippled through the chamber. Soldiers scrambled to raise shields, but the warship's presence was not physical. It was everywhere and nowhere, an invisible blade, slicing through nerves and minds. Irian's voice grew stronger. How do we make amends? You must remember. You must confess. You must carry our memory forward or be consumed by it. The station's AI systems began to malfunction. Screens showing histories censored or erased forced open and played in infinite loops. The council was paralyzed, and then a new sound pierced the silence. A heartbeat. Bay dump, bay dump. It grew louder. From me, the depths of the warship, a projection emerged. A spectral figure in tattered Earth military gear, face obscured by shadows. Its voice was both command and lament. I am the last human voice. I am the warning. You will either inherit the future by embracing the past, or be devoured by it. The warship's eye blazed a final warning. No one scans a human warship, because the last ones never got to warn anyone. With that, the warship's form shattered into countless shards of black glass, each a memory, each a story. The shards dispersed into the void, fading into every system, every mind, every history book. The galaxy had been forced to remember. The shards of the warship vanished into the void like dying stars, each carrying fragments of a story too heavy to forget. In the stunned silence of Concord Station Prime, High Chancellor Irian stood alone before the great council chambers. Panoramic window. Outside, the stars burned cold and bright, unchanged yet forever marked by what had come to pass. The warship's voice still echoed in her mind, relentless as a pulse. You will either inherit the future by embracing the past, or be devoured by it. Around her, the galaxy stirred. No longer could any species deny the buried truths, the atrocities hidden beneath treaties and propaganda, the children turned into weapons, the silence after the last conflict. A new order began to rise from the ashes of forgotten history. The conquered would become the memory keepers, guardians of truth, storytellers of the lost, protectors against repeating horrors. The warship had not come to destroy them all. It had come to awaken them. High Marshal Kryn's voice broke through the chamber's stillness as she addressed the assembly. We created a monster, yes, but it was born of our own fear and betrayal. Now, it is our burden to carry that memory, never to forget the cost of silence. Irian nodded, resolve hardening like tempered steel. The hammerfall was not a curse. It is a warning carved into the stars. Outside, the void felt lighter, not because the warship was gone, but because its message had settled like a seed that would grow into vigilance, into unity, into hope. And somewhere deep in the forgotten sectors of space, the faintest pulse still beat, a heartbeat of remembrance, a reminder that memory is power, and that no one truly vanishes until they are forgotten. Moral. In the vastness of space, silence is the deadliest weapon. Forgetting the past dooms the future. Only by embracing the shadows we hide within can we forge a galaxy that remembers, learns, and survives.